What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast.
If you want to be successful, look inside.
We don't like sitting in the discomfort.
Then all of a sudden that day came when I got $20 and 2 free drinks to do a show, and I was like, oh shit, here we go, baby. You know?
Thank God she hasn't caught a chicken yet, because she'll tear his head off.
Don't be soft.
That patience is key.
If all my friends are winning, then it's going to make me want to win more.
All right. We are definitely excited to get this show rocking today. We got one of our personal favorite people. She's an amazing entrepreneur, athlete, fitness coach, Onnit Pro. She got workouts Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on her Heft Training app. She has YouTube vlogs every Wednesday, and she has her new Get Peeled podcast every single Friday. Guys, help us present the one and only Hannah Eden. What's up?
What a crazy intro. Thank you guys so much.
He's an intro pro. We've done so many of these now.
Especially yours. We got to light yours up a little extra spicy for you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You bring that energy every day. I love seeing all your content, so we got to bring the heat for you.
That's it.
Oh, I love that. Well, I'm really excited to be here. I know it's been a long time coming for us to try and get this going, but finally we are aligned and we're here, and I'm ready to chat.
Yeah, you're a busy woman, you're traveling all around, you're doing, all the things you want to do. I couldn't be more proud to, have seen you really grow here in South Florida and now going around the country, going around the world and doing your thing, Hannah. It's been tremendous to be able to see it from the outside.
Oh man, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, we've lightly been in contact with each other's worlds for years now, and it's been really cool and interesting to actually watch you guys as well.
Thank you.
Evolve and go through your whole deal as well. So congrats.
No, I really appreciate that. And now that we're on this topic of, all of us just evolving, I really want to know what sparked it for you to say, you know what, I want to be able to, move around the world, experience these other things and these other ventures. How did that start, and what was that spark that initiated that for you guys?
That's a great question. I think, I've always been afraid of living a comfortable life. And I think that's maybe because I didn't really feel comfortable in life. And then it became something I wanted to be so far away from. And I think it helped me with my career and find my space within this industry. But as I'm sure you guys know, anything that you feel passionate about, if you do it over and over again, eventually it will become a job, right? And I'm terrified of becoming unauthentic, and the term imposter, right? Like, I never want to show up because I have to. There's days that I have to push through, but like on the grand scheme of thing, I know that I'm where I want to be. And so whenever, which I'm sure is also going to lead to something else that's further down the road for me, but I have this problem, which is right now a great thing, which is I can't sit still. I can't slow down, which is seen as a positive thing, right? Like overachieving. I think that it is a part of my DNA, but at some point it needs to slow down, right? So in order for me to stay fulfilled, I keep having to move and shake. And I've just always thought, especially with the power of social media and the internet, if we don't need to be somewhere, there's so much to see. And
Totally.
I think that the biggest spark for me was losing a really good friend, and seeing how short life can be, and that youth is not on our side. If we're going to die, we're going to die, right? And so we got to remember to live. And so that's something that I try and wake up and remind myself to do every day, because we can get busy. We can get really busy, and make sacrifices or choices to not experience. And I think that we'll all get really burned out and bored if we don't keep experiencing things.
Totally.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you see it a lot here in South Florida, right? Like people love the nice weather. They like the accessibility to everything, and they get very comfortable with where they're at, right? And they forget to take the time to experience these new things and try different things and go to different parts of the country and learn from other people as well, right? What are some of the biggest learning experiences that you've had from going all around the country recently? I mean, you've been everywhere, it seems.
Oh man, culture is the most incredible thing. And I don't think we have much of it, and I didn't realize that we didn't have that much of it until I went into the most diverse places in the world. And sometimes the best places are just because of the humans, because there's so much lack of resource in some of the areas that we go to, which is amazing, right? They're like corners of the world that I'd never think that I would see, and to be able to go to these places such as Bolivia, right, and to the Uyuni salt flats, and through my career is the most incredible thing, and I'm so grateful for it. But the most rewarding thing from that is just to see the people, man. Like, you can have nothing, right?
That's right.
Absolutely nothing, but the energy that comes from people that have nothing is so different than the energy that we get from most of us that really have everything. And even if the poorest people here in America are the richest that there would ever be out there, you know? So I think it's really healthy, and it's been a really valuable learning experience for me to understand there is so much out there, and we can all get really drowned and we kind of fall into this space that we don't explore unless we are pushed to, right? But it's people are the biggest experience and learning experience I've had so far.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, I moved to Puerto Rico in would have been April, and all of the accessibility, like Uber Eats, and, you know, the ability to, you know, go to a restaurant anytime I want, you know, not everything is open all the time down there. It really has made me realize that I can create the life I want to live, right? I don't need all of these extra tools. I don't need the bells and whistles to be able to live the life that I want. I need myself. I need my family, you know, and I need the other, like you mentioned, I need the other people around me, right? I need that human connection.
What you just said is so true, because the people in Bolivia, that I'm referring to right now, the passion or the pride that they have in the life that they've built for themselves from absolutely nothing, and from us would be nothing, right? We'd look at it and go, huh, but they're just so proud and so prideful. When having that drive, when you've got no financial reward there, it's just straight up fulfillment, right? And for us, it's like, this right here could make you a millionaire if you wanted it to, but choice is yours, right? It's like, we have the opportunity to do so much and to create the own life, the life that we dream of, but doing it is hard. And but we have the opportunity, and so many people don't, and so we should all take more advantage of that, you know?
Totally. No, and I agree 100% with you. And I think it's just amazing. Like, you're getting these experiences, you're seeing other cultures, you're learning the world for yourself and obviously your partner, and you're actually living life. And I want to go back to something you said earlier on. You said, like, you know, you do everything online on social media, and how that's been able to give you opportunities to go and do those things. So for any other entrepreneur out here who's wanting to get themselves online, social media, to be able to experience what you're experiencing, what are some of the things that you would suggest for them to do when starting off and building their online business?
It's such a great question. And I just had a really in-depth conversation with Julian Smith about this, right? There's like certain, which is AKA the quad guy, has ridiculous quads. But there's certain individuals within this like fitness influencer space, I think, that have been around a long time. And I think that's a huge compliment, because it is such a fast pace and saturated. I wouldn't say it's oversaturated, but with the good trainers, it's a saturated market. But there's a reason why. And we were talking about it. It's like, what is it that is that one common thread that everyone that has been here for 5, 6, 7 years and that has monetized and created a business out of fitness, right? Out of whatever their passion was. Like, what is the one thing? Because we can all learn to be the best, have the best techniques to build a following on Instagram. We can all learn how to build a website and go into e-commerce and know how to get the best margins and blah, 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 blah. That's all stuff that anyone can learn, right? But I think the one common theme was just being a good fucking person, man. Being a good person and being genuine in everything that you do. Like, I did this for a little while at the beginning of my career. I kept trying to portray myself as a likable person, that I thought that if I make everyone like me, then everyone's going to like me, you know? And as I got further and further into it, it was like, that shit is exhausting, because it's not who you are. Yeah. It's not authentic. Your mask is going to fall off at one stage or another, right? I never want to disappoint someone and be someone totally different in real life than who I am behind the screen. And I think from having awareness of seeing other people do that and just showing myself what I didn't want to do was really helpful. But the biggest common thread and biggest piece of advice I could give to anyone trying to go into any form of fitness or influencer or whatever they're trying to do is be a good person, number one, and make sure that whatever you're doing is something that you genuinely enjoy doing, and it's you. You know, don't try and morph someone else's goals or someone else's dreams, because it's really obvious when it's not authentic, and it's not going to be fun and you're going to quit because it's not sustainable to pretend to be someone who's not,
Totally.
you know?
Totally. And I was gonna ask you, where in your career, like you mentioned, where you're saying at first I was trying to be likable. Where in your career did you make that change? When did that shift happen? Where it was like, I'm gonna be more of me real, and shift over to like what I really should be putting out there?
I think it has stages of evolution. Like the first time, I'll never forget the very beginning. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna build an Instagram following. So first thing I did was I booked I've forgotten the photographer's name now, but he's like famous for doing like glamour lingerie photography in Miami. I like Justin Price. I booked a photo shoot with Justin Price. I bought some lacy underwear. I got on the fucking floor and was like going to town, like looking back, getting like super sexy, right? And I just felt like, oh my God. And I would always laugh about it because like, if anyone knows me, that's so not me. Like I'm going to laugh at myself for posting that. And I just remember trying to do it that way and like being everything was so curated, right? Everything was so packaged and put together. This is what the other people are doing. And then I remember being like, man, this is exhausting. And this is somewhere deep down, I'm having this feeling of like, this is the wrong message to put out because this is not fair. This is not what I look like all the time. This is not what is beautiful. Like what is beautiful? Then I'm like going down this whole other journey of what is this all meant to be? Then it was a total shift of, fuck that. I am me. I'm weird. I want to have red hair. I want to say fuck all the time. I'm going to curse and spit and not care about crotch sweat and blah, blah, blah. Then it was like, I wanted to try to let everyone know that this is who I am and I don't give a fuck, you know? And I see that all the time on Instagram, which is getting overdone when people show you like Instagram versus reality. Like stop trying so hard to show the world that you're different, right? Because now you're not different because you're trying to be different.
Right.
Like just be you. Yeah. And so now I'm in this place of, you know what? Maybe it's age, right? Like there's a lot of things I can improve in life. There's a lot of things that maybe I don't really need to work on in life. And whatever I feel like pursuing that literally gives me joy. And anytime and every time I've taken off my blinders and started to look at what everyone else is doing and compare to everyone else, it's not genuine and it gets exhausting. And I end up like going through this weird phase of like, I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't authentic. This isn't what I want to do. Now I've just understood that if you like me, you like me. Right. And it's okay to not be liked. There are so many people in this world. And if I'm not your cup of tea, I'm sure as shit not going to try and change myself to meet your standards, you know? And if you don't want to be there, that's cool, man. There's so many incredible people out there that will be able to give you everything that you need. And it's just not me. And I think that came with age, honestly.
Yeah, I think when you put yourself out there the way that you have, you know, the way that a lot of people in fitness and just across the board in social media, you know, the longer you do it, the more you realize, just like you said, like it's tiring to try to be somebody else, right? It's tiring to put that fake smile on or, oh, I have to retake this story because I said the word shit or, you know, I mean, I've had a ton of people hit me up and be like, you know, you need to swear a little less in your content. I'm like, oh, but I would never get the content out. Like I would hesitate all the time. I've sworn like a sailor since I was 10. Like one of my favorite words to say is fuck. Like I can't not say it and feel good about myself.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think especially, maybe this is a young girl thing, right? But like, I remember the inner conversation in high school. I remember that inner conversation once I went to college. And then after college, it was like, who you surround yourself with at work. Like, I remember the feeling all the time of like never being like exactly who I wanted to be, you know, and always feeling like, man, I'm different. And looking around going, these people seem so comfortable in their own skin. I wonder if they're having like an inner conversation too. And as time goes on, I don't know if that's a girl thing because it's so hormonal and weird and like emotional that you're growing like these weird body parts, like trying to figure out who you are. But man, I wish I could tell I know that's so cheesy and we hear that a lot, but like, what could I tell myself at 16? Like, stop trying so hard, girl. Like, who gives a fuck? You know, if they don't like you, they don't like you. You don't have to try and make everyone like you, you know? Which is also hard on social media because it can be brutal. And you often remember the scarring, negative shit and forget about all the great stuff, right? So it's been this has been a long time too, right? So it's like, there's been phases of it and I'm sure there'll be other phases coming in the future. But as of now, I would say, you know, just authenticity and trying to stay true.
Well, I would say at the end of the day, we're not for everybody, right? We're not for everybody.
And that's okay. Yeah.
And I mean, you've built such an amazing community. I mean, you know, not only with your content, but, you know, with the HEF tribe, and you've helped so many people overcome so many obstacles in their own life, right? That how do you remind yourself that you're doing all these great things for so many people when you do see these trolls on social media, right? Because you're 100% correct. It is so difficult to overcome those negative things, right? Like we get so fixated on like, oh, fuck this person. Like I gotta get, you know what I mean?
Because we're
like,
human at the end of the day, right?
Right.
We're human at the end of the day.
when we're, you know, this one person compared to the thousands or the hundreds that you're really helping in real life. So how do you remind yourself, like, listen, you know, I am the shit. I am doing the things that I need to be doing for not only myself, but to help all of these people out every single day so that they can, you know, fulfill their lives and thrive.
Right. I know this sounds crazy to believe, right? But for some reason, I don't know if it is because I'm so outspoken and someone's scared that I'm going to go back at it, but I don't often get like really mean things, especially on Instagram. YouTube's a bit of a weird world, right?
Oh, YouTube is a whole nother animal.
monster.
That's a whole nother
Another
animal.
monster.
Facebook can be a bit brutal, but I don't really check Facebook because I have in the past. I'll never forget what my first job with Men's Health, and this is when I was in CrossFit, right? So I was jacked, absolutely jacked. And the comments, man, they absolutely destroyed me. They were like, this girl that's like a dude, she's on steroids, she must have a dick. I remember going home that day and being like, I'm wrecked. I can't do this. I couldn't sleep. It's like, and I cried, I think. It was like so emotional, so earth-shattering. And Paolo, my husband's like, dude, you gotta not do that. Don't do it. Because if you don't know what people's words are, you don't feel those things, right? And their words have no validation. Half the time, they're probably extremely unhappy with their life. I've learned that over time. And honestly, what's helped me not take it personally is having compassion for that individual, right? Like, there's clearly a reason why you feel like you need to say that. Like, as a grown-ass adult, why would you ever say that? That's not going to do anything other than hurt someone's feelings, right? So rather than being angry and retaliating, it's like, I feel bad for you. I want to give you love, right? Because clearly you've got to hurt people to make yourself feel better. And maybe I can understand that because I've been in that stage of my life too. And I think that even though I was that guy, maybe not in the same way, but like I was the one that was externalizing negative, toxic energy. But inside, I also knew what I was feeling, which was like, man, I wish someone would love me, or I wish I could love myself as much as that person does so that they can go out there and do that. It's coming from a different place, you know? And you have to have thick skin. You just got to laugh it off.
Yeah.
At this point, can't take anything personal, man. Who cares? As long as it's not your circle, who gives a fuck?
Yeah. And if you do take it personal at the moment, you have to learn how to just take a step back, breathe, chill, reassess, and then analyze, right? And then from there, what's the next action step I take?
That's one thing that I do. Like, I just won't respond. Like, what is that going to do? You know, and I know that there's a lot of peers I have that get off on that. They love to just get them going.
I'm one of those people. I like to get back at them. You know, I'm like, just to play. I love the healthy banter, you know?
Yeah, healthy banter about. Yesterday, we were doing something with kettlebells. And someone's like, you guys are the dumbest people ever. Swinging bells with no shoes on. It's an ortho's dream. Broken toes and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, value your opinion, but out of violence, ever hurt their foot. But if they do, I'll be sure to send them to you so you can have my recommendation. Right? Like
Yeah.
And then Becky chimes in and is like, that's a really good point, but I don't think that sneakers could protect your toes from kettlebells either. You know, it's like, rather than being like, take a walk, fuck off. Like, you don't need to respond with that. Kill them with kindness. What are they going to say?
Kill them with kindness. Exactly. Sometimes you even see people, they actually flip around and start acting a little different in certain situations.
Which is, to me, is really shocking because I think that if people have like over 100,000 followers, I think that the trolls think that they like don't see stuff. Like, I see it all. People that have millions will see that mean comment, right? People are aware of it. They don't get to 1 million people without checking their shit, right? They know what's going on. And they still have feelings. And so I think a lot of the time, if they are responded to, they're like, whoa, I got a response. Oh shit, I'm embarrassed now. I gotta make up for it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. You know?
Yeah. I mean, the second you throw it back at them and you're like, listen, you know, like, you're just being a dick. A lot of the time they're like, oh no, you know, I really, you know, he had this the other day and he sent it to me. And then at the end of the conversation, you know, the back and forth, the guy's like, you know, but I really respect, you know, I've said all these bad things and I think you're a piece of shit, but you know, I really respect your ability to build your community. Like, you know, so which one is it? Am I a piece of shit or am I good at what I do? Like,
make your mind up.
Yeah. I'm fine with either of them. Just let me know so I can move on with my life.
It's so funny because it's like now in the world that we live in, it's like you see the beauty that obviously these opportunities of social media and online bring, and then also as well you see some of the stuff that you see it can do to other people, especially people who don't have a good grip on their mindset, and they allow themselves to fall in this rut because they're getting all this stuff from whiplash from people, and they allow this negativity to consume them, and then it takes them down south. So it's really interesting to see what these tools can do for people in a positive and negative way when you're growing your platforms.
And I do want to tune into that too, which I think is really important, is, social media, if you're trying to use it for a business, needs to be utilized and looked at like a business tool. Because I think that if I had not gotten into Instagram in, I think like 2013, right, when it was all becoming around, I don't know if I would feel the same way about social media. And I don't know if I would have as thick a skin as I do, because I was always able to look at it from a certain point of view, that I never got into like looking at what my friends are doing and making sure I'm catching up with everyone's life. Like, if you're my type friend, like, you're going to send me a picture, you're going to call me, and we're going to FaceTime, and we're going to figure it out. Right. Like, I don't use social media for like a place to put my, I know I put a lot out there, but there's a lot of my life that's not there, that would go into a private group chat or something like that, So I think that if anyone is getting into this for business, you can't be in, I don't want to sound mean when I'm saying this, but if there's any vanity that you're trying to find from this platform, it's the wrong space, because that will fuck you up. That will mess with your head. And it's like your worth is now determined by how many likes and how many comments and how much engagement there was. Like, it can become an obsessive space because it's a game, right? It's like there's a goal to get numbers up. There's an algorithm to make it happen. But at the end of the day, like, if you're basing your worth on likes, like, that's a very scary place to be.
You fall down a rabbit hole, right? People fall down a rabbit hole, and then what happens too is now people have an opportunity for a spotlight that they wish they've always had. And this is the way for them to get that spotlight, where back in the day, if you weren't on TV, if you weren't on like a big platform, or if you weren't a celeb or an artist or this, that was the only way of getting your spotlight. So when you give access to people like this, it's like it becomes that spotlight driven. I want the spotlight this moment. I want to feel those likes and those views to feel like people like me and want me. And when you come out of a wrong place, later on, it's going to become addictive in not a so much healthy way. And then you're going to start experiencing some of those downfalls and some of those mindset shifts and, some of the stuff that we see out there that's going on, and it's really getting to people, right? Anxiety, depression, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think also having a goal attached to that exact point is the way out of that hole. Like, once you meet the goal, you set a new one, you move on. You're not here to try and like feel like you're succeeding or not based on what's going on Instagram. It's just a tool to connect your self to the rest of the world, right? Versus trying to feel better about yourself from the rest of the world.
Totally. And I remember I had a buddy of mine where he would always tell me like, man, dude, you must be 6-7 hours on Instagram a day. And I'll be like, dude, honestly, I go,
an hour.
I might be there an hour, maybe an hour and a half max. And he's like, but how is that possible? He's like, he'll show me, he's like, dude, look at my activity. And he would be on there for like 5-6 hours, and he has nothing to, like, his job works a regular corporate job. And I'm like, dude, how are you spending 5-6 hours? He's like, I don't know, man. He's like, I don't even know how you're only spending an hour. And I go, because you got to go in there with your intention of what you're going to do and get yourself out of there. And that's it.
I actually want to pull it up now because it's so true. And how do I do that again? I go over to
Insight
settings. Insight settings. I think it should tell you activity.
Your activity.
Yeah.
Time, daily average. Mine says, and I have like, I don't know if it's per account. It says 1 hour.
Yeah.
Daily average is an hour.
Yep.
And that sounds crazy, right? But that's what it is. I don't have time in my day to be cruising around and wondering if I could go on the same vacation as Barbara. Like, let me figure out where I want to go and figure out how to get there and what we need to do.
Right.
And that's also why you have a certain level of success, because I think some people think that to be successful, you have to spend now all your time on social media, which actually success is created on the back end. It's created what you're doing off of social media, right? And you're using social media as a tool to help you, but it's not your whole world, right? Because we turned it into our world, our digital world.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we're all old enough, though, we grew up without phones, without with dial-up internet, right? You want to get on the internet, but your mom or dad had to use a phone. Well, you better get your ass off that computer, you know, like, and you had to go through that, like, you know, ear aids to be able to hear, to be able to get through, you know.
I remember when AOL chat was the jam.
Oh, AOL Messenger, man, you leave your away message and
oh my goodness.
You know, like,
what's your ASL? I'm 30, I'm female, and I live in Fort Lauderdale.
yeah. I mean, so, you know, we've been able to see the pros and cons because we kind of grew up during the transition period, but I know like my sister's 21 and it's a struggle for her sometimes, you know, and like you said, people are fucking ruthless, man. Like when she was in high school, like, you know, I was bullied a lot as a kid growing up, right? Going through, you know, elementary, middle, and high school. But when I got home, my home was a safe space, right? I didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. And nowadays, like, it's tough to be able, you can't escape that.
That's so true.
It's going to be interesting.
I don't think that I'm a strong enough individual. And I, at that stage of my life, had not implemented the tools into my life to be able to handle that. I could not imagine being a teenager as a little girl. I don't know. I've never been a boy, so I wouldn't understand. But as a little girl, like, I could not fathom that. And like the confusion of like identity crisis. We were having this conversation, which is like a personal conversation, right? For certain individual, I don't need to say names, but their children were identifying as pansexual, right? At 12 years old. And it's like, I think that's incredible. I think that it's absolutely admirable that there is now an opportunity for that. But they're 12 years old, right? And now they put themselves in this area of what they have to be. I just remember being like so young and remember hearing the first time I understood what like a bisexual was or being gay, and then going home and being like, oh my gosh, I love my friends, they're girls. Does that mean that maybe I'm gay? And like questioning who I am. And it's like, imagine now with like social media and so many people know exactly who they are, which if they do, they do, right? And that's okay. But there's probably so many 12-year-olds that might think that they're this one thing because of the world that is trying to tell them that they need to identify as X, Y, and Z. It's like, let's just be Hannah, right? And if you want to love girls, you love girls. You want to love boys, you love boys, and just accept everyone that we want to do. And however you want to identify yourself as is okay. But the pressure and the constant stimulus of like, this is what
the label. Yep.
Oh my God, a label, exactly. And then it's like, what if you commit to that label and then one day you don't want to be that label, but you committed. Now you're not sure if you can leave. And I just don't know how I think that, like you said, going home was your safe space. Going home is the place that you probably had no distractions to like work through thoughts, to whether we knew we were doing it or not, it was happening, right? Because we were forced to do that. And so now, man, could you imagine? I couldn't do it. I really don't think
I don't know how things would shake out in my life. You know, just like you, I mean, you're talking about the female, the young girl perspective. It's very confusing for a young boy as well, right? Like having to deal with all of, and we have these much older constructs of like, what we should be and the way we should act and, how we handle our emotions and how we handle, our work and what we're expected of. And, it was pretty cut and dry when we were growing up, right? Like you show up to work, you work hard, like you come home, you don't fucking complain, you don't cry, you don't do this. And I'm not saying all those things are great, right? But it at least allowed me to go, okay, listen, let me start taking down this path. And I was a very emotional kid. I used to cry all the time, right? I grew up in a house full of women, so it wasn't hard to do.
You're the only son?
Yeah, the only son, yeah. So, I mean, my grandmother, my mother, and my sister all lived with us. So it was like it was hormones everywhere.
It's like Guinness,
if you weren't crying during the day, like you didn't live that day.
I was gonna say Paolo probably felt the same managing Comfort because it was all girls and he probably cried every day too.
yeah. I mean, but it gave me a much different experience and a much different perspective on how life could be, right? And we're kind of starting to shift to some of those norms, right? Especially in malehood where mental health is important and your emotions are just as important as a female's, and you shouldn't avoid those or run away from them. But it's it's incredible and it's going to be really interesting to kind of see how things shake out, And
it's also really cool to hear that perspective, right? Like I said, I haven't understood that, experienced that, but it's so true. And I just can't imagine having to feel like you had to be some kind of way. There are other ways of things being opened up to have a new norm, or I had this idea of, which is terrifying, and I don't know if we're getting off topic here, so sorry if I am, and you can give me a little hand signal.
No worries.
Nah, we can talk about anything.
You know how, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but I have talked to a lot of peers around our same age, right, that are going through stages of life. And there's one stage of life that is like the last stage of life that I hit, which was like a really weird place for me, because when you're a kid, I think you think that the world is full of rainbows and unicorns. And, you know, even if you didn't have the greatest life, you might think that you had the greatest life until you grow up. Then you're like, hate the world because your life's not a different way when you're a teenager. Then you get into like this 21 to 25 year space where you're like just a little bit confused. Then after 25, you're like, have a little bit more self-awareness. You're like, man, why am I this way? Or where did this characteristic coming from? Or man, I'm noticing certain personal traits about myself. And I think that stage is like that idea of all of us romanticizing the idea of what we thought that life would be like, whether that meant family, whether that meant the relationship with your sibling, but really just through the lack of communication to like understand what your truth is of that idea versus what their truth is of that idea versus what the reality is of that idea. Without the conversation, I lived for the last 20 years of my life thinking something that wasn't true. And that was purely based because of, I didn't have the conversation. And you know, and now I understand I had that conversation with my brother. It's like, it strips down the idea and it's like, holy shit, you thought the same thing? Or that's what you thought of that perspective? No way. But we're old enough now to have that conversation, to talk about it and to understand that that's not the way that life has to be. It's not the truth, right? But the lack of communication, the lack of open format discussions like this to say men can cry, men don't have to be strong, girls don't have to have it all together and know exactly who they are, girls don't need to look a certain way to be popular. You know, like all of these conversations matter. And as much as we're trying to create them, it's still not had enough, you know, at all.
Yeah. And, you know, I think you said it best, right? It's like platforms and formats like podcasting, right? These longer form conversations are so powerful, right? Because you can really, we're so used to, you know, the normalization of media as being these like short clips where, you know, especially people are sitting on a panel and they're just
feed you what you want.
They're just arguing back and forth and fighting, you know, fighting for the spotlight. And, you know, now I feel like we're making a much bigger shift to actually realize who people really are and giving them an opportunity to explain things on a deeper level, right? And where they come from. And it really is powerful. And I know you have your new podcast, right? I'd love to dive into that, Get Peeled, right? So what made you want to start Get Peeled and you know, what's it all about?
Exactly, for one of those reasons. And this is, for the longest time, like I love fitness and it's what I do every day, right? That's what I put out there online. But while I'm working out, like my workout is my escape. My workout is like my place to like let all the dark shit out. So what I look like when I'm working out, it's fucking scary. Like it's intense.
I love it. I love what you're posting.
Yeah.
But if you didn't meet me, people used to think that I was super unapproachable and like not friendly and not kind and like a really angry, like mean person because, you know, I look strong and it is intense and it's not like a really fucking weird face and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate the fact that the world thinks that I'm like this robot cyborg that, you know, it's like, what? I'm the biggest idiot there is. Like, I really try not to take life that serious.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, right. The only reason why I'm able to do that is because of that hour that you're seeing online. So I wanted to create a space that people could know me on a far greater level than just like what I can do for them in a workout.
So,
you know?
So what are a few things right now that people, what are some like 3 to 5 things that people don't know about you that that really consume you and make up Hannah every single day?
I think that there is a lot, but maybe I've been better at expressing it through the podcast recently, but I'm a total fucking weirdo, man. Like I am not your normal girl. I have experienced a lot of really cool things in life, but I like a simple life, you know? Like I like being alone in the woods without any cell phone service and not having a cell phone and like building fucking forts from wood, you know, like I'm a very unique, weird person that people might not know that about me, but that's exactly why I'm living in a trailer and literally living in the woods and I'm approachable. I get on the grid when I need to be and I get off the grid when I don't need to be. I would say that's one thing for sure. Another thing that people don't know about me, I know way too many lyrics to classic songs. I love vinyl records, Fleetwood Mac, Dreams. I listen to the same song every single morning. Oh, that would be my third one too, I guess. Like feel like I'm a bit of a old soul. Like I have such a morning routine that's so old school. That I don't know if anyone knows about that part of my day, but I wake up at a ridiculous time and have like a full day before the day starts, you know?
What time are you waking up in the morning? Because people always say, like, my girlfriend and I wake up at 4, we go to bed at like 7:38. People are like, I don't know how you do that. It's like, well, I love doing that, you know, for that exact reason.
Well, I used to be the laziest person before I like found fitness. I just want to put this out there so people are like, oh no, that's not me. It was never me either. Like if I didn't have an alarm, I wouldn't open my eyes till 2 p.m. I could sleep all day. Like I was such a good sleeper, just so unmotivated because I had nothing to get out of bed for. But I cannot sleep past 5 a.m. I'm lucky if I get to 5, and it's like a fight, you know, like I did it. It's going to be 5:30 and it's like 4:59.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love it. I do that. I get up. I don't look at a screen until I'm done, which I take my dogs outside. I go on a walk, like pay attention to the most random things around me. And all of these things that I do have probably been because I've gone through a really shitty time in life and had to find a tool to help me get out. And some of them have just stuck, right? And I don't know if you call that meditation, but there's a book by Jay Shetty. I don't know if you guys have read Think Like a Monk.
No, I haven't read it yet, but I know about the book.
It's a fantastic book, but it puts things in perspective and makes you appreciate the small, simple things that we all hate doing, like laundry and dishes and cleaning and shit. And it's like, it's such a negative and like I love cleaning, but it could be seen as like I don't want to do laundry, or I don't want to do the dishes, right? Now, like I had a full dishwasher at home, but I would wash dishes in the morning because the action of washing dishes is so mindless that my brain like has an opportunity to think about shit that actually matters, not stuff that has to happen, you know?
I'm big on yard work. I love yard work. You know, like I'm a redneck through and through. I grew up in the country in upstate New York. Like you said, like, you know, you put me in a tent and around some trees, like I love it. I'll make a fire. I'll make a fire. I'll go fishing. I don't give a shit. Like, let me get my hands dirty and do some manual labor.
I am for Christmas this year. Paolo bought me a survival course in the woods alone for 3 days.
So epic.
Super cool.
Like bears and an axe and a ferro rod. I'm like, dude, you got the key to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
sounds like a good husband.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a solid dude.
And speaking of your husband, because I you know, obviously you've always seen, and from when I met you guys like to me, you guys I feel like you guys match perfectly. But of course, like every relationship, nothing's perfect. But I want to ask you, because you mentioned communication early on, how that's important. Like, what are some of the things that you guys make sure you guys do when it comes to communication as a partner, especially both you guys in the fitness? You guys do a lot of similar things as well. At the same time, I know you guys have your differences, but how do you guys communicate and hold it down as a strong couple, especially in this world that you guys are sharing together?
Yeah, I think it's been a really interesting experience with Paolo because we have been together for so long and we've known each other for so many stages of our life. Like I met Paolo when I was 19.
Wow.
And yeah, it's been a long time, you know, like before I had red hair, before I had a breast augmentation done. Like he knows me for being the rawest, the worst possible version of myself is who Paolo knows. So I think there's such a level of understanding and respect that we have for each other to understand like the transformation that we've made together, but also individually. So there is such a level of respect there. But, you know, we have been doing this a long time. We opened the gym in 2015. And for being in business and doing that and operating on such like a high stress and like high fast paced lifestyle, it can become very easy to let go of the thing that you feel so comfortable with, right? But really that should be the number one thing that you're focusing on so that you always want to go home, right? Because my home is Paolo, right? That's my place that I go home to retreat is like, that's the safe space. So that should be the place that I recharge at, the place that I should be able to be the best I can be for all the other aspects of my life. And there's been many times that we've not done that. I mean, I will never forget September of 2018. I think I was home for 6 days. And within those 6 days, it was not combined. It was like land at 2 p.m., take off at 6 p.m. It was just stupid, like so much travel. I didn't see my husband for a month. I can barely talk to him on the phone while I'm traveling because work's happening. It's like, we're working so hard, right, for our future. But like, if we don't focus on what the future is, which is us, then what the fuck are we working for?
Yeah.
And so this is something that we will, and we'll still do it now. Like we'll go, and then we'll do really good at it, and then we'll do really bad at it. And in the times that I think that I'm doing really bad, I do have a really solid, strong relationships with people around me. I don't know if you guys know Megan. Megan's been a huge part of the development of Hannah Eden Fitness. And I went for lunch with her just the other day, and she reminded me, and I didn't realize how much these little things matter and are probably a huge part of the success of our marriage and our relationship, is that no matter how hard, because remember, we work together. So when work's hard, that means he's hard or I'm hard, right? Like shit's not good, right? If things are going bad at work. But there's this weird switch that I've always managed to have, and Paolo used to resent it, but now it's the best thing because I can compartmentalize too well. And if shit's hitting the fan, we're going to shut the door. We're going to leave this container, which is this space of this building. And as soon as the foot steps outside, we're going to go have 2 bottles of wine and we're going to go eat a steak in sweatpants. You know, like we've got to remember to have fun and remember to come home. Like, and totally. The less you come home, the less you want to go home. And being home, I mean, is like good and healthy with my partner. So Megan was like, dude, you guys always did date night. If shit ever got too crazy, you always went out. You didn't call it date night, and you didn't need to get dressed up to prove to the world and hashtag date night tonight with my boo. Like, no, you guys would always like leave your phones in the office and go like take a 2-day vacation or go stay in a hotel in Fort Lauderdale just to like disconnect from the world and retreat, which is us, because that's always been
that's
us.
Money right there.
Yeah.
That's really important.
You know, my girlfriend and I, my travel schedule, obviously moving to Puerto Rico has gotten a lot crazier, and work's been crazy as well with the podcast. It's been insane, you know, so we've been going through a lot of the same things that you're talking about that you and Paolo go through. So, you know, I appreciate you sharing that, and, you know, definitely plan on taking some of your advice and utilizing it for my own life with her, you know, because it is so important. And, you know, I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, man. And it's funny because the longer and longer you go, I think something else that's really, I don't know how long you've been with your girlfriend, but this was like a aha moment. Like shit still happens now. And I think over the years and through so much like business work and personal work to try and be a better person, you can implement a lot of the tools that I know that you guys have also read about or heard about or whatever. And you can start to implement them into your own life in not like a forceful way, and it just happens authentically. But one thing that I always overlook is like checking in.
Yeah.
Right. I do these mindful hours where people are showing up for me to help them for three facets of their life, which is their personal, which I put together. Right. So I'm the leader here saying we need to focus on 3 things: your personal life, your business life, and your relationships. And there is me killing it in business. Who's Hannah? I've not done anything for my personal life. And my relationship, shit, I haven't seen my husband for a month. It's like, check yourself, right? We are constantly growing, trying to be better and tell everyone else how we got to be and how they should do it. Like, no. We got to be practitioners of everything that we're learning, and we don't deserve the right to tell anyone to do it unless we're doing it ourselves. So checking in, we just checked in. It's like, shit, when was the last time we checked in and said, hey, what are we working towards? What's the goal here? What's the 5-year goal? You do that at the beginning when you're trying to create something, right? But once you're in it and you're moving so fast, like you got to keep coming home and check in. Like, what are we doing? Like, are you happy? Do you love what we do right now? Should we make a change? Because it's all up to us. And that's the scariest thing that there is.
I love that you said that.
It's up to us.
I love that you said that, because for me, it's health, self-care, family, business. That's how I look at it.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're wrapping up on time here, but I'm so glad we're finally able to do this, Hannah. You know, you're such an amazing human being. You've done phenomenal things in the fitness industry, not only for yourself, but as I mentioned before, for so many other people. And, you know, I know our listeners are going to get a ton of great value out of this, and I really hope they go and seek you out and you know, hit you up and learn more about who Hannah is and what Hannah's got going on.
And get to listen to your podcast as well, where you're
for sure,
know, like you get peeled, you're revealing all that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you why you did move to Puerto Rico, and I'm not sure, but don't answer here. I'll ask you to come on to Get Peeled and you can explain.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to do that. That'd be phenomenal. We'll have a great conversation. Before we wrap things up, I know Mendez is going to have one final question for you. He loves to ask this question. It's a phenomenal way to end things. But where can people find you? How can they learn more about the HEF tribe and Get Peeled?
Yeah, we actually just launched our brand new app. It's the HEF Training app on the App Store, iOS, or on the website. And my website is hannahedenfitness.com, which is HANNAHEDEN.com. And Instagram, HannahEden_fitness.
I love it.
Love it. Really appreciate it again, Hannah, for coming on and sharing, all these amazing pieces of advice, value, experiences from your life and the journey you've taken. And I just want to personally say thank you again. And like I always like to wrap things up, what is the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today in one single sentence?
Live before you die.
Boom.
It's a great way to end
Live
it.
before you guy dies. You guys heard it.
Thank you, Hannah, for coming on again. Until next time, everybody.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Of course. If you guys love this episode with Hannah Eden, make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you leave us a rating and a review. Apple, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you guys want to listen to us. We're also on YouTube, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the latest episodes. We appreciate you more than you'll ever know. Until next time, guys.